Number 4, let's start there.
Yes.
4 days was how long this was supposed to last. 4 days. And now what we're doing is going to 45 for a requested delay that came from the White House, right? And make no mistake, that 45 days, people, you need to understand that's a military and economic request on the United States. Why? 45 days, that's the type of time that they would need, the United States and their allies, to reload. We are out of ammunition, or we're getting close to ammunition being depleted across the AOR, the area of responsibility, as it's called, right? You've blown up all the bases that we had. So logistics now are damn hard. So they need a significant amount of time. Iran does not believe that 45-day ceasefire would do anything, because they've been bombed not once but twice while negotiating with the United States.
Right.
The other piece of this 45-day thing is that gives them time to clear out the Strait of Hormuz. All those ships that are anchored, that have all that oil that have been sitting there, people have forgotten there are thousands of ships anchored, to clear them out, to try to get the economic ball rolling. Well, guess what? Iran knows that too, and it's one of those things that people need to understand. Iran knows that the money is hurting Trump. The economic field is hurting him. And so what that means is, if they say yes to the ceasefire, all their leverage is gone. Why would they give that up when you have threatened to bomb them into the Stone Age? Conversely, because they are controlling everything in the strait, not only can they really put the screws to President Trump, they have become the fastest world player on the stage this year. Full stop. Every nation that relies on oil that comes from the Middle East has directly contacted them. South Korea, we're talking hardcore allies of the United States. And that is why Trump has called them out in that last press conference, because they have completely said, we don't care about what you want to do, America. We're dealing with Iran directly. Get this, they're more rational than you are. That's how far this has gone sideways, where the United States has no credibility. You see international markets pivoting off the dollar, which would create economic catastrophe in the United States. This is why Trump is banging the hammer, because he is at Armageddon economically, and the Iranians don't care. And they're here for it. But that's what you get when you bomb people, when you're negotiating. And that is sure as the hell what you get when you kill the leadership targeted. And now you're targeting civilians and wanting to commit war crimes. That's where we are, Sam. 4 to 45.
That's it. So there's a lot there to unpack, Bobby, that I'm so curious about. Speaking of logistics, our supply lines are stretched pretty thin, I assume. And you mentioned the other bases that had been bombed. There were some 13 bases that have been uninhabitable, and our military is living out of hotels.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't occur to me because I'm an idiot, but it didn't occur to me that would also affect our ability to resupply. Those are our supply lines.
I've said this many times before, and I'll say it again. Amateurs think tactics, professionals think logistics. That's a phrase we have in the United States military since World War II. I'll give you another example. America has been a superpower, right? America, Soviet Union were the two major superpowers the world's ever seen. What makes America a superpower, what made the Soviet Union a superpower, and it's no longer that as Russia, and what China is emerging as, superpowers are able to put military operations anywhere on the globe, meaning you have a logistical network globally where we can touch you anywhere, right?
Yes.
Iran has single-handedly, in these 7 weeks, put into question if the United States is still a superpower because we lack that logistical ability. The reason that China is buying ports all over the world is because they're trying to establish that network to become a superpower. What the Soviet Union had in the Cold War with all the countries they supported, they too were a superpower. Iran is single-handedly changing the face of what the international world order is, and they've done it in less than 50 days. Because of the lack of strategic vision, the lack of strategic forethought, the lack of diplomatic ability, and really the sheer strategic and intellectual arrogance coupled with stupidity from one person, the whole world has changed.
So let's get into this just a little bit more. What are your thoughts about what's coming up at in 6 hours from now? Theoretically, the starting line. I mean, he hasn't announced any speeches, as I understand. Floofy Unicorn in the chat, who, by the way, amazing name, but also a consistent watcher. I see you every time, Floofy Unicorn. You're the best. But Floofy Unicorn says they bombed Karg Island. Is this? If anybody's watching news, post links. So what is your take? Let's game this out a little bit. What happens at 8? Best case, worst case.
Best case, Trump does his famous taco routine and chickens out because he sees the markets, the futures, and they go to absolute crap. Oil prices start to surge, etc. So he backs off, and then he creates some imaginary negotiation in the 11th hour to make it look like he's a hero. I mean, according to this past week's press conference weekend, he's the one that got Osama bin Laden. Wasn't aware of that. Didn't know. Okay. I mean, so he's going to do something where he looks like he still is the magnanimous one in control. But in reality, the markets are telling you, you are about to fumble the bag, as the kids say.